West Side, worldwide. Welcome to Story Time with OGLA Ron. Please don't forget to smash that like button, comments, and subscribe. Go to the website. Please don't forget the merch. Got plenty of merch. Got the new book out. Y'all need to go get it. Best is doing real good in stores. I had an opportunity to present the book to some children in the system. And today, I would like to do a story on a guy that I know from South Park, and I went to high school with him. His name is David Fulcher. He played for the Cincinnati Bengals when Ickey Woods played. One of the most brilliant, smartest safeties in the pro ranks in his time. I met this guy at the park at South Park. We all played on the same baseball team. I met him through a guy named Curly, which is the guys from the East Side named Tom Slick. They brothers, and David was a kind of mysterious, kind of tall guy for his age, but this guy always was getting in trouble. He had a brother named Mark Fulcher. Mark Fulcher was a quarterback for Fremont. He was the biggest quarterback I seen back in the days. He was 200-some pounds. But, to talk about this guy, David, man, I ended up playing baseball with him at South Park, like I said. And then I also end up seeing him at Fremont, which David played a little basketball, a little baseball, and football. But I know David was one of the most hardest hitting guys at Fremont. He was playing a little wide receiver back then. We was trying out for receiver and a little safety. And I know a couple times, one time we was getting ready to, it was game day, and David had a fight in the canteen, and at the canteen with some guy, because David he was serious, but he liked to joke around a little bit. So he got into a fight, and I think he was suspended. He couldn't play in the games. And later on, I think David ended up going to Arizona or Arizona State. And I heard that one of the last games or something like that, David got kicked out of college. But David ended up getting drafted, man, and I know that he was highly recruited, and I'm not sure if he went to Arizona or Arizona State, but I know he ended up playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. And this is when Ickey Woods, and he had the Ickey Sheffield, and this was big back then because this was in the 80s. So I used to always tell people, man, I know David, and even when I was out of town, I always would tell people, because the Bengals was in the Super Bowl, they was into the playoffs or the championship, and everybody always say they got somebody kin to somebody kin to another guy. So I was telling the guys in Texas when I was out here that man, I know that guy David, man, and David was a cold. He was a whole hitter, man. Something about that South Park, because I know Dwight Taylor and a lot of guys came from out of that system over there by the park. But Fremont have a thing where a lot of the guys that came from Fremont, they went to pros. The Eric Davis signed out of the college, and Mike signed out of high school. And I've been talking about this other guy lately that he signed out of Fremont. They had some good coaches, Unwind and Bruce. But to make a long story short about this guy that played for the Cincinnati Bengals, one day I was going to the fight, and I think it was the Tyson fight, and the boy that beat Tyson to go to the Olympics, Henry Tillman. And I ended up seeing Henry Tillman brother there. So I seen Henry Tillman brother the night before the fight at a club. So the next day, man, I was going to the mall to get me something to wear to the fight, and I was just messing around. We walking to the mall, and it just so happened, man, David was coming out the mall. I was going in the mall. He was coming out, and I seen him, and he seen me. He was with his girlfriend or his wife, and he said, "Hey, Fish, what's up?" And I say, see, man, this the guy that I was telling you about, David, that played for the Cincinnati Bengals. I say, man, what you doing down here, man? He said, oh, man, I'm going to the fight. I say, I'm down here for the fight. I say, I see you at the fight. I say, you still playing for the Bengals? I think he said, no, I think he was playing for the Raiders. And I think he was there when I think he was playing against the Raiders when Bo Jackson got hurt. But I would just wanted to talk about David. I know he have a nonprofit that's inside of Cincinnati. This guy, man, he's trying to help the youth down there in Cincinnati because I seen a documentary with David Fulcher trying to talk to the youth. David came from a real gang-infested area, but I never knew David as gang banging. I think, I never knew him as being a gang member. But if you grew up in a lot of the areas that we grew up in, a lot of people associate you with the gangs because you know you had the five deuces and the five trays over there, and you had the four trays. And I know that when we went to school, it was Hoovers and East Coast and Swans, but David actually came from a neighborhood, man, that was real violent. It was a gang-infested area, and they didn't change the name of the park to Barry White South Park. But I just wanted to expound on David Fulcher because this is a guy that grew up in my neighborhood, and I know that he's trying to help the youth, and I hope that maybe one day that he'll be able to tell the youth, exactly, the neighborhood he's came from and the way he's trying to help the youth. Because I know Sugar Bear, he played for Fremont too. But, you had a lot of guys that was on that team, man, that was some real good players. And I know David fought his way all the way to college. He fought us all the way to the pros. But I know I was looking at a tape one time in Lompoc, and they saying that this guy was caused so much damage in the defense that they had to create special plays to run the opposite way. He was like a Deion Sanders on defense at safety. But Deion, he really didn't like to hit. But this guy, man, he's come from a hidden family. This guy was a big, tall guy, but he thickened out a little bit later. He had a nice little speed on him. He had them long legs, and he was a good, solid 200 and something pound safety. David Fulcher, Ickey Woods, and all these guys, they put a team together, man, that really went to the Super Bowl. I don't know if they won or they lost, but they had to create a special plays to run away from this guy because when he hits you, man, you're going to feel it. I don't know if he had that coming out of poverty or coming out of, I used to see him up at South Park with his dad, so he had his dad in his life. And I know that this guy, man, he would hit you, man, and he would knock the snot out your nose. And this guy, man, he's a real good friend of mine. He's a guy that I grew up with, and I just wanted to make sure that this guy get his just due. I know a lot of times this guy should be in the Hall of Fame, in the Football Hall of Fame. But just to talk about David Fulcher, Cincinnati Bengals. David, all right, brother.